psyched up for this whole weekend with weather and everything. And so, he was saying, boy, the speaker, I've been thinking about the speaker, and I'm kind of going, I wonder who he's going to have speak. And he just goes, I was thinking about you. I was just like, I think I stumbled a little bit, but I just thought, I felt an honor that my dad would think that I must have some things I can share of my life. I've been a Christian for many, many years and grew up in this family, so there's a lot of Christian background and influence. But right away, what came to my mind was this Bible study that I've been doing in the last year. I mean, a women's Bible study, and we do it every other Monday night. And it's called Calm My Anxious Heart. And it's by Linda Dillow. And here on the back, it happens to be published by Nav Press. So I thought that was kind of neat that was associated with the Navigators. So, and Tim, for some of you, most of you know that Tim is on the Navigators staff. So that was kind of neat. So being anxious, I don't think there's anybody who doesn't go through a time in their life where there's some anxious times. From being a little child, going to school, wondering who they're going to marry, having a baby. We got an airplane show. Just our health. Look at Ruthie going off to the hospital right now. I mean, Merck's is probably pretty anxious right now. But at the same time, there's a calmness that we have that we know because God's in control. And we can just be reassured that even in whatever circumstance we're going through, that God's in control. And He knows everything and knows the outcome. And so one verse that I thought tied in and was talking about being content even amongst our circumstances. And that it doesn't mean that we just have to be happy all the time. And the contentment is just really coming to a point in your life where there's a peace, no matter what's going on in your life. And Paul wrote in Philippians 4:11 through 13, I am not saying this because I'm in need, for I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do everything through Him who gives me strength. And he talks about that through his circumstance, he can find this peace. He can find this contentment. And he ends with, which all of us know, how can we do this? How can we come to a point where we can find this contentment and this peace in our circumstance? And that's through Him who gives me strength. And the Lord is faithful. And I was thinking about there are times that we all go through. I know in the last year I had some health issues that I thought, Lord, give me that strength to go through these tests. I couldn't explain to people what was going on with me. I had this hotness in my neck, and it was kind of a throbbing on one side. I had scan after scan. They would scan me from my face to my chin, and then I'd say, well, aren't you going to scan me in my neck? That's where the pain is. Well, no, we don't scan the neck here. It was this appointment after appointment. And yet it always came down to, well, we didn't find anything. So then I thought, well, okay, then I have to be reassured there wasn't anything there. Go away with a piece about that. But anyways, I'm just thankful that through the months, the Lord did either heal me, or I've felt some, or found out some things that may have caused that, and I don't know if it's food allergy, what it is, stress, I don't know, getting old, so, but another verse too is 1 Timothy 6:15, knowing that God is our blessed controller. He's the King of kings and the Master of all masters. Who is our controller? Who's control of everything? God. What is he? What kind of a controller? He's blessed. And sometimes we want to take control. We want to help God out. We think, well, God, maybe you just don't know exactly what I'm going through, and we want to help him out. But God still is the ultimate controller. And one time I was thinking, well, in this Bible study, we had to think of some times that we felt we wanted to take control. And I thought of Tim joining all these Navigator Bible studies. He's getting his engineering degree. And we're starting to see he's really getting involved in the Navigators. At the same time, he's getting his degree in engineering. But what route is this going to take? And here he came to tell us that, Mom, I'm going to join Navigators full time. And, part of you as a parent just wants to say, well, are you sure about that? No. But we had to trust that God has placed on Tim's heart where he should be. And so 5 kids were joining the Navs, and 4 could stay at the U of M. And maybe you've heard this story before, but one was to go to the University of Whitewater, and that was Tim. And I kept thinking, well, but why couldn't you stay at the U of M? And I wanted to control that situation, and yet we had to stand back and let God take control and say, it's not my will, it's yours. And little did I know that when we dropped Tim off, there was a girl standing there, and she was on staff. She joined the team, and we hugged, and we just said, we pray for you guys. And little did I know that was going to be my future daughter. So God really, he knew best. And God is faithful. And contentment, we need to just think about our Creator, that God knows everything about us from beginning to end. He has a plan, he has a purpose. He saw us from beginning when we were in our mother's womb, and he knows our very last day. Job 14:5 talks about man's days are determined. We can't add a day. We can stay as healthy as we want, and we can do it, everything we can to prolong life. But God knows that when our time is done here on earth. And so that reminded me of Tom. Just, I think most of you know that in April, he was telling me how he had these chest pains, and of course you think it's indigestion, and we had just had a really nice day out of the lake. It was our anniversary. We just hit 30 years, and I don't know if that caused the heart attack. But he had a very, very mild heart attack. We're thankful for that. But, it was just like we didn't know what was going to be the next thing in store for us. But we trusted the doctors. We trusted medications he used to take, and the doctor's very proud of him. He's lost weight. And all those things contribute to better health and stress. You can't always control that at work, but I guess it's how you handle that stress. Workload will never go away. It's how you handle it. So God is faithful in that situation. And just in our roles, that we have, that can cause less anxiety when we know, when we have a perspective on life. Perspective means a way of seeing things. If we can think of it as God's perspective, how does He see it? Whatever we're going through, how does He see the situation? Because sometimes we don't understand. We have no idea what God is doing in that situation. But we have roles that God has given to us and entrusted to us. This is in 1 Corinthians 4:2. Now it's required that those who have been given a trust must prove faithful. And just, you look around and we all have a role. We're children, we're spouses, grandparents now, and God has assigned that to us. And we just want to find that contentment that, sometimes something looks better on the other side. Maybe, have you ever heard one mom say, gosh, I wish I had children, where another mother's saying, I wish I didn't have any children. Or I wish I was married, and then a single person's going, but I wish I was married. It's just like we just have to come to a point where we see where God's put us. He's given us a role, and we won't be perfect, but we can just be faithful and trying to do the best we can. I was thinking of then a role that God's put me in at work, and there's been some really neat opportunities. Sometimes I think, after being with GMAC and now I'm with a smaller, it's an outsourcing company. So we still work for GMAC, but we just don't have that big name over us, and it's a small company. But God has given me opportunities to just impact people, and Jenny works there, and they see her going to Christian concerts, and she's not out drinking with kids like a lot of normal kids are. So she's impacting people too. So that role of me being an employee at this office is something that's God has put me there for a reason. And we can just look at our lives and see that God has placed us there. Faith rises us above our circumstances. And we can be content even when life doesn't make sense. And sometimes we think, well, God, I'm going through some really dark times. Do you see what's going on in my life? And yet God He's even working in that night of our life, those dark days. Yet, it's some of those times that, many times that God, you become stronger through those hardships. And He's drawing you to Him. And there's a reason for that. All things happen to us were thought out by God. There isn't one thing that slips by God. He knows exactly what's going on and the outcome. And we just have to ask Him to just walk us through, carry us through. Psalms 112:7 talks about no fear. Psalm 112:7. He will have no fear of bad news. His heart is steadfast, trusting in the Lord. So though I've lost my job, though my health is failing, though somebody hasn't, just the relationship isn't good, all those things, though, yet I will trust in the Lord, as He is faithful. And that kind of leads me into There's a song that I was able to sing at church, my church. Um, we had a really neat worship pastor, and he would think of a song, and he'd say, "Cindy, I think this is just, it's you. You know, it's your voice." And I thought, I really thank the Lord for that man, because I think, the Lord knew in my heart I like to sing. I haven't had music lessons and all that, but it comes from my heart. And so I'm going to try singing that right now. So, you want to, let me stand. It's called Forever Faithful, so it ties in.